Today we are talking about compost. Now compost is wonder stuff for any garden. If you've got problematic soil, if it's really free draining to the point it will keep no moisture, or if it's like clay and it holds too much moisture in the winter and it bakes hard in the summertime, then adding organic matter like homemade compost will improve the soil structure no end. By mulching with it every year, digging it in, it will be so beneficial to your garden. Now, if you don't have a lovely huge garden like this one, and you can't build enormous compost bins like these magnificent things, then you can always get something smaller. But the same process is always used. It's about filling up, so you can see the end compost bin here has been filled to the top with this year's waste. And then over time, as it rots down, it will be turned out into this one. And the reason you turn it out is because you want to get as much air in there as possible, because air really speeds things up. And then as it rots down further, it will be turned into this one. By the time it gets to this one, it'll be lovely and crumbly, beautiful. It will look unrecognisable, nothing like what you see in these early bins. So it's just a process of time and keeping lots of air and the right moisture content in. By the time you get to the end bin, you'll have lots of wonderful stuff to add to the garden. But if you don't have a huge space like this, you can still make the magic happen in a really small compost bin like this. Now, compost bins like this are available on lovegardening.com, and they're perfect if you only have a small space. And what you put in them is key to making really good compost. Now, the perfect ratio needs to be about 2/3 brown waste and carbon to 1/3 green vegetative waste from the garden and vegetable peelings and things. So the first thing I'm going to put in is this, which is some old cuttings that I've cut back from the garden. So anything sticks or twigs or anything like that, that wants to be the first lot that you put in the garden. So it's kind of like roughage, if you like, and it wants to be nice brown waste that goes into the bottom. And you collect a lot of that over the autumn time. Any dead stems from flowers that have kind of finished growing now and you're pruning back, anything that's dry and brown wants to go in the bottom of the pot. And you would ideally put your container onto soil, so it's nice bare open soil. That means the worms and bacteria you can get up, and you've got a nice amount of air in amongst all that brown bracken and twigs and foliage at the bottom, so you've got that nice air circulating, and that will start the decomposition process. Now I've got my brown in, it's time to add some green waste. So green waste is any leaves, anything that you've cut back from the garden, any vegetable peelings and things from the kitchen. So I've got things like bits of cabbage leaf here, onion skin. You can also put in things like eggshells are really good, coffee grindings, even coffee filter papers will quite happily go in there. Basically, it's anything that has been living can go in, and it'll compost down really well. You don't want to put anything that's been cooked, no meat or dairy or anything like that, because that can cause smelly situations, and you don't want rodents or rats or anything coming anywhere near it ideally, especially if it's near the house. So you want to keep it nice and clean, and it will rot down nicely without any nasty smells or anything like that. So you want your brown in the bottom, then you've got your green vegetation on the top. You can put grass clippings in here as well. Just make sure that when you put grass clippings in, you kind of fork them around a little bit in the bottom, because they can create mats, if you like, and become really quite compacted, and then that takes a really good long time to rot down. So give them a little bit of a shuffle around if you put anything like that in. You can also put newspaper in, as long as it's not got too much ink on it, it'll be fine. Newspaper can go in. Any shredded paper that you've got, if you have a home office and you shred paper, that's absolutely perfect. You can even put in things with natural fibres. So if you've got any old woolen jumpers that are 100% woolen jumpers, chop those up and put those in, or anything that's cotton or linen, they can go in too, and they will kind of rot down and create stuff that's just amazing. Now the next thing I'm going to add is soil from the garden, because this will have lots of really good bacteria and microbes in it that are going to speed up the process of decomposition. And I'm just going to put a small layer of that on the top. So it's like a bit like making a trifle, if you like. You've got your nice thick layer at the bottom of brown, then you've got the green layer, at the top, add in your newspaper and things like that, and then your soil. And the last thing I'm going to add is water. Just a little sprinkling of water. It's amazing, it's actually a bit like a TARDIS. You can't believe how much stuff goes in, and you can just keep adding and adding, and because it rots down to something so much smaller than actually what goes in, you'll see at the bottom here over time, 6 months to a year, that you will get this lovely black compost. It will be so friable and it will smell sweet. It sounds crazy, but homemade compost that you've made yourself smells really delicious. You know it's full of goodness. And you just take it out the bottom and keep adding to the top and then keep taking it out the bottom, and it really is as easy as that. And you can tell yourself if it's not working, because you will see if it gets too sludgy in there, then you need to add more carbon. So if it gets sludgy, then add more brown things, so twigs, and you can add leaves if you want some leaves. You can also add dead things that you've cut back from the garden. If it's not rotting down enough and it's still staying quite twiggy and brown, add some more stuff from the kitchen, so any vegetable peelings, eggshells, coffee grindings, things like that. You will eventually find the balance. There's no kind of perfect recipe. You will know yourself as soon as that compost starts coming out of the bottom, looking all fresh and lovely, that you're doing the right thing. So it's a little bit of trial and error, but it's fun and it's free, which is amazing. You're taking all that waste and producing something absolutely wonderful with it. Now, if you've got any questions, or if you've got any ideas for new videos that we can do to give you lots of useful content, then do get in touch with our media team and check out our other videos on lovegardening.com.